Yes, all right, thank you.
Can we start with squad news? Is everybody okay after the weekend, and will you look to rotate and make changes given the quick turnaround to Saturday lunchtime?
Yes, first of all, good news, back to back, that all players are fit and available. Quite rarely you have it as a manager, so good scenario, good situation. Yes, obviously we will also go highly motivated into this game, because made it clear also several times, I'm a big believer in cup competitions. We want to go through into the next round. I know it's not realistic that we will win the Carabao Cup, but you never know. So you also want to achieve sometimes something unrealistic, and for that we want to come as far as possible. And the first step is always to win the first round. We know that we face also a pretty good side. The side who has won the first league game. Middlesbrough, for me, also one of the top teams in our league, and it's definitely also a spotlight game. Maybe an interesting clash, home game at Elland Road, and yes, we want to go into the next round, and I will pick a lineup that will be capable to do this and has good chances also to win the game. We will also make sure that we won't risk any player. We know that especially during the first week there's lots of load, and we will perhaps rotate a bit more than we would normally do, because I think sometimes to rotate on 2 or 3 positions is quite normal when we have such a busy schedule. To rotate more could sometimes stop the rhythm a bit. So for that, I rather don't rotate that much. But I think for this game, it definitely makes sense, especially because we are also in the beginning of the season, and we have also several good options. Like you said, we also have to keep a bit in mind. So quick turnaround for this game, but also then for the game on Saturday, and for that you can expect also some changes in comparison to our last starting lineup. Yes.
The home form was so good last season. How important is it to get that first home win of the season and to start to build some momentum?
Still unbeaten during the season. So for that, yes, obviously we knew that we wanted to win the first home game against Portsmouth, and yeah, it's football, it's a championship. We won all statistics, and sometimes you sit in the dressing room and ask yourself, how the hell can we not win this game? Sorry, but it was one of this games, because yeah, statistic-wise, it was normally unbelievable not to win this game, but yeah, it happens. It's football and the championship, and for that it was just a draw. And of course, we're highly motivated also to add the first win and to go into the next round. But you never know. So we face a really good side. We are also respectful, and we don't take it for granted that will be an easy evening where we go into the second round. So we have to be at our best to give ourselves a chance, especially in the beginning of the season, when you, like I said, perhaps also rotate a bit more, and you're not 100% there in your rhythm. Perhaps like after 10 games in the league, so it's each and every game is difficult, and for that, yes, it will be a difficult task, but we're also highly motivated.
You made it clear you'd still like to add some numbers to your squad. Is anything moving in the right direction in terms of recruitment, and are you still quite calm about the situation, given there is still quite a bit of time before the window closes?
Yes, totally calm, and there is no panic at all, because we have a really good group, and to have a really good basement to work with, and we know that we can't afford to spend a fortune on new players, and the good thing is we don't just need some numbers, we need quality. So just players who will make our group really even stronger, and for that we're also quite carefully, because we have also pretty spirited group and close group, and yeah, a new signing has to tick all boxes, so it needs to have a proper quality, but even on the same importance level, it needs to be there with a top mentality and personality, and it has to be also a affordable deal, and also a deal where we are still in the driving seat, even if it's a loan deal or whatever. So for that, many boxes have to be ticked, and for that, sometimes when you can't afford to spend a fortune, you have to be even a bit more patient, but even the group that we have right now is also quite strong. We spoke about the positions where we need perhaps to strengthen our group a bit, and we will. I have total trust in our key people, in our owners, and yes, behind the scenes we're working a lot on it. So I can't confirm anything right now, and we'll see what will happen over the next couple of weeks. But we are in good talks, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Hi, Daniel. On that front, the Premier League loan market will come into view now because all the teams are back ahead of their new season. Is that something that you've been particularly keen on looking at?
Yes, of course. But on the other hand, if you ask me directly, it's always like, I think a permanent signing is always better in terms of, the player is then fully committed and also 100% our player. When we can develop a player, we know that we will also get the reward from it. So the loan market can be sometimes even a bit tricky, especially once you bring a player in where you say, okay, it's not 100% guaranteed that he plays, and for that it could be difficult, because a loan from the Premier League normally just comes to get some game time. But if you have such a strong squad like we also have, and you can't guarantee some game time, sometimes the loan also doesn't make sense. So I prefer, if I'm really honest, more permanent deals, because then it's 100% our player, and we are sure that even perhaps if there's individually a bit difficult spell for a player, but he's fully committed and needs to work his way through into the starting lineup and something like this. So the loan market is definitely one of our options, but we are also still eyeing for some perhaps permanent transfers. And like I mentioned before, we won't fall asleep till the end of August.
Daniel, if a Premier League club does have a player that you want, will you never confirm that they will always have a starting place in the squad, whereas some clubs seem to be willing to do that? Is that your stance, that you will not ensure that they start, they have to work their way in even if they're on loan?
Yes, because as long as I'm responsible in this role for a club, this will always be the case. Because for me, it's not about salaries or about CVs or transfer sums or loan or permanent or how highly a player is valued or how his value is on transfer market or whatever. Names are not important for me. Just what you deliver and the quality that you show on the training pitch, on the pitch in the games, the behavior in the dressing room, the identification and commitment within the group, and this is just important for me. So for that, it's never guarantee whoever I bring in that he plays. So for that, it's always a performance on the pitch. First of all, on the training pitch, but also obviously in the games. And if you deliver like this, then you have a good chance to play. If not, then not. But there will never be a guarantee in the contract, at least not as long as I'm in charge, because I think it's not healthy for creating and implementing performance culture, and this is how I work.
And Daniel, after conceding 3 goals at the weekend, does that make you reassess the amount of changes you might want to make in the defence tomorrow night, because you want to encourage them to form relationships and maybe just prove that they're better than what they showed at the weekend?
Yes, that's a good question, because normally in the beginning of the season I don't like to rotate too much, because I believe that sometimes, especially when you have a few changes within the group, and we had a few, you need to also a bit to come into your rhythm and to find the right optimism within the players, and I'm a big believer to rotate even a bit later during a season. But overall, I have to say, so when I also regard our last game, we have conceded too many goals. So to concede 3 is definitely not like us. We had the most clean sheets in the last season, and I think one of our main goals also during this season is to be the best defense in the league, and it's also something I'm very, very keen on to work with. And we had also the second best defense in last season. So for that, 3 goals is normally not like, to concede 3 goals is normally not like us. But if you have a deeper look into the details, we conceded a penalty situation. I spoke about this. And the penalty always flags up in expected goals with 9.7, because this is more like the probability that you score a penalty. And expected goals against us, if you take the penalty away, was in the 50 league games I'm in charge. So 46 games last season, plus the 3 playoff games, plus this 1 game. So for 50 games in charge. If you take the penalty situation out of this, it was the lowest expected goals against us in all 50 games. And this is what I mentioned. So sometimes you sit in the dressing room and you think, how the hell can we concede 3 goals in this game? It's unbelievable. And we had all the clean sheets that we had last season. We had more expected goals against us than the game at the weekend, apart from the penalty situation. So I didn't have the feeling we were open. I didn't have the feeling we invited them to score out of open play. They had no chance out of open play. The goals that we conceded was the penalty situation, and 2 times after we defended a wide area free kick, then more or less the second phase when we were not in our organization. So I didn't have the feeling at all that we were open or not structured or not defending well in terms of our tactical behavior. It was more like pretty strange how we conceded the goals. And for that, I don't take it too much into account that we have to win our confidence back or strengthen the rhythm a bit more. It could be that there are even a few changes also in defensive positions tomorrow, yes.
Daniel, we've talked about James De Bayo. We know about Alex Cairns. He's been here before. But Sam Chambers is someone that fans might not know too much about if they haven't seen him. What does he bring? What do you like about him?
Well, I don't like to talk too much in public about young players, especially once they have not played 1 minute in a competitive game. So for that, I don't want to put more weight on their shoulders. It's a 16-year-old guy, and he's in the spotlight. And for him to train with the first team, to spend the preseason with him, is so much weight already and so much expectations, and it's a completely different intensity level and awareness level that he has to show in comparison to the youth level where he's played before. But we see a lot of potential in him, and he's also from the physical point of view already pretty far for his young age. And I know it's not normal that you have a 15-year-old Harry Gray or 16-year-old Sam Chambers together with you in pre-season and also within the first team group, but if you wouldn't believe in him, then he wouldn't be there with us, because there are no gifts and there are no guarantees. Just because you're young, you have to show something and you have to earn the spot. And we got the feeling with good performance level on youth level, he has earned the spot. And right now, he's also adapting. He's improving from week to week, but I can't predict right now if he's ready to start a game for us in 1 week, 2 weeks, or perhaps in 2 months, or just in 2 years. So there's so much time for him to develop. But I think it's beneficial for him at the moment, at least, to train with us and to smell a bit the first team surrounding and area. And he's improving, and we like him. He's a really bright guy and open to learn, and he learns and adapts each and every day. And for that, we want to keep him close at the moment.
And finally, Borough, of course, made the semi-finals of this competition last year, but I suppose more importantly for you, they won at the weekend. How much are you really into that performance and that team selection at the weekend ahead of tomorrow night?
Yeah, first of all, we know that we face one of the, for me, best sides also in this league. So for me, they're also one of the favorites to finish in the top 6 at least. And it's definitely a really good side. And they spoke about their ambition. They have a really good coach and a really quality players. I think also a good blend out of experience and exciting young players. And we know also from last season how tight and competitive the games were. And they will come with confidence after first win. They will come also with confidence after proper cup run, also in the last season. And they know that you can sometimes even celebrate some magic nights in this cup competitions, and they will try to repeat this again. And for that, we are pretty respectful, but we are also highly motivated, and we know that when we are at our best, so we have a great chance also to go into the next round. And I expect on both sides also a few changes. Yes, we will see what the outcome is, but I expect a tight game and hopefully with a better ending for us.
Hi, Daniel. I know you said everybody's fully fit, obviously, which is great, but Patrick Bamford's obviously been on the way back from his injury at the end of last season. Where's he at the moment in terms of being ready for a start? And how do you feel about the striker options this season? I mean, do you see Mateo Joseph as being able to come forward now and be the first choice number 9, or is it still very much up in the air? And do you need more really, or how do you feel about it?
Well, fully fit is always in terms of available, and since at least a proper amount of time in training in order to be picked, I would say. So, of course, we have a few players like Patrick who missed more or less team training for 11 weeks, if you include the summer break. And it's just with us since more or less 3 weeks. You can't say, okay, right now he's in the prime anyhow. So he came from a long-term rehab, and normally you also need a bit time for rhythm. But the more he trains with us, and meanwhile he's in 3 weeks in training, the closer he edges, and the same more or less for players like Brendan Aronson or Max Wöber, who arrived a bit later in pre-season. So for that, perhaps not all players of our squad are ready to go for 90 minutes, but I would say all the players are at least there for 45, 60 minutes at least. and once you're ready for this amount of time, then you have a great chance also to be picked, if it's for the squad or even for the starting lineup. And yes, I've spoken a lot about my trust and my belief in the qualities of Patrick Bamford. He's a proven goal scorer on this level, pretty experienced. I think it was also one of our problems in the final stages of last season, that he was not available with his experience, with his quality. He was, especially in the second half of the season, always there with great performances, with scoring goals, with a good work rate also for us as a team, and was important for us. And then to have him not available for the key weeks, a bit like Pascal Struijk, was also, of course, not beneficial. And for that, I'm grateful and happy that he's back. Yes, we need perhaps a couple of weeks to be there with 100%, but he's edging closer from day to day, and this was also not a gift and no coincidence that he was then also there in the final 15 or 20 minutes on the pitch in the last game. And yes, once you have Patrick Bamford available and fully fit and full of confidence, for this level, it's always a top option. And of course, he's in my plans. We've got Matteo Joseph, who had a pretty impressive preseason. I think also a good work rate in the first game. Sadly, he missed a big chance in the second half. Otherwise, he would be perhaps even more in the spotlight. But that's the fate of a striker. If you score, everyone celebrates you. If not, then there are a few questions. I was overall pleased with his performance and his work rate. And he has made a big steps forward during this preseason. I think he will also be capable to play a key role also during this upcoming season. We've got Joël Pirot, proven goal scorer on this level. Yeah, when you play him up front and he plays 46 games, he normally scores double figures. So this is what he does more or less his whole life. So we have proper options. Yeah, if in the end Harry Kane is available from Bayern Munich, and I wouldn't say no, and I would at least pick up the telephone. But at the moment, I'm fine with my strikers.
Good stuff. And we can't preview this game without mentioning Luke Ayling. You'll presumably come up against him. What do you think that'll be like? And obviously, looking at your team now, what do you think you've got here in Jayden Bogle? Like, how big could he be, and what do you expect from him this season?
Well, it's always a bit strange to welcome Luke here, especially in a home game at Elland Road, not in our shirt, because for me, he's a club legend. What he has done for this club is unbelievable. He was a key player in the last decade, and also responsible to bring this club back into the Premier League, and also with an unbelievable first season on Premier League level. And I've spoken so often and so much about Luke, what I think about him as a player, and how much I would have liked to have him more or less in his prime, even 3 or 4 or 5 years earlier. And also what I think about him as a person, as a teammate, and as a colleague. He's an outstanding character and player. He's definitely one of the best I've ever worked with, and character-wise also for a team. And yes, I know that he's also always desperate for us to win games and to be successful. He's also professional. I'm pretty sure if he plays tomorrow, he will give his best to make his team successful, because he's an unbelievable professional. But I know that deep inside, he also feels always for us and wants us to succeed. It always feels a bit strange then to see him, and also to have him in a different shirt. But on a personal level, it's always great to see him, because he's an unbelievable character and unbelievable great guy, and I always love to see him, and fingers crossed for him. And I also have to say, I think we found it's always difficult when such a club legend, the time for club finish anyhow. And I have to say how he behaved. But I also think how the club has more or less behaved, because when he came and asked for if he can leave in order, because he wants more playing time, especially because his contract was running out, we were a bit short on the right back position, but we got the feeling no, he earns it that we allow him this move, because he has done so much for the club, and we want him also like to let him go perhaps in the moment when perhaps many supporters still think would be good to have him still here. It's always better for a club legend to finish more or less his time when you have done so well for a club, instead of everyone says, oh, he should have finished his career here 2 years earlier. I think from both sides, from his behavior but also from our behavior, it was more or less like a perfect ending and finish of a great legendary time of him here, and it will be great to see him back. like I said, a bit strange to see him in a different shirt, but always good to see.
Hi Daniel, do you feel that better transfer targets will become available later in the month, the closer we get to the deadline? Is that the value in waiting?
I think you can't judge it in general like this. Sometimes in the end of the transfer window, sometimes a player is then in the end available, which was not possible perhaps in the beginning of the transfer market. This is right, and when you have a bit time and can be a bit more patient in order to realize then also a transfer, if it's a permanent or loan, you should do this, because it's more like the experience says, if you have panic buys in July or early August, then perhaps you don't have the necessary bullets anyhow when a really interesting player is available. And for that, we have a good core group, we have a good basement, and for that we just do business once we are fully convinced. And I also think that a few players will be also available really as soon as the last day of the window edges a bit closer. And for that, yes, it could be. It's never a guarantee, but definitely could be, yes.
You've chosen Ilya in midfield with Ethan over the first game on Saturday. How do you see the difference in balance with Ilya playing with Ethan as opposed to Joe with Ethan?
Yes, and Joe could also play with Ilya. We have some proper options in midfield. They all three are different. We got the feeling, especially also Ilya, he has played a lot the deep six role in the last season, and right now it was more number 8 role. He has impressed during preseason. He was there with really good performances, with assists, with a great goal, also with running in behind. So exactly what we are asking for, goals out of midfield, and we got the feeling so. He's physically in a top class shape. Also, always defensively very aware. Also added some goal threats, set pieces. Also on a really good level in the recent competitive weeks and the final out stages of the last season. But also like this free kick was really good. So he offered a lot. But Joe is also a player for me, also a key player. I also liked what he offered during preseason. With him, we had to keep a bit in mind that in the last 2 years, he was not starting too many games. Also for Southampton, in the second half of the season, he was not starting too many games, and he arrived then also slightly later. And then, obviously, new signing, you need sometimes a bit more and a bit longer in order to be 100% physically fit. But he's also a player who, has more or less a potential to play a final pass, also his set pieces, and also his going forward. Don't have to remember everyone remind everyone about his time at Blackburn when he scored many goals and was there assists. We want to revive this form and the shape also a little bit, and he offers this a lot and can also open pretty compact opponents. So I think the balance is perhaps a bit different. Ilya perhaps even a bit more defensive minded, and Joe perhaps even a bit more offensive minded, and it depends always what you need. This is also the reason they can play both really good together. I think. We have for example, when East Nampadu, we need him at some point in the centre back role, for example. So it's good to have options, and we have a long season and 2 cup competitions, and we want to be as successful as possible in cup competitions, and we need all the players. So for us, it won't be that we just have 11 key players. So we need to have at least 16, 17 key players, and Ilya and Joe are definitely 2 of them.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good.